Good morning, lovely people, or good afternoon, depends where you are listening to me from around the world. Thanks for joining me on this weekend and on summer holiday mode. And I'm speaking about brand strategy. How crazy is that? But anyway, I'm going to keep it light and probably maybe we have another part or something. It's just, if you've been joining me in these sessions, that started in April. We're now in season 2, and this is episode 5. It really works as very chilled kind of chat about, the ways of marketing and brand and strategy and retail, all sorts of stuff that, gets you thinking in your daily lives if you're a practitioner in that at any level, really. So we're talking from investors, CEOs, stakeholders of different types, startups, you'll be in marketing, trade marketing, your sales, your commercial, whatever have you. So I've been getting a lot of mix and a lot of people from different parts of the world, not only the Middle East or Egypt, particularly South Africa and India, maybe because I did a lot of work there. So it's me, Dalia Zaid. I am the founder of FWD Consultancy. It's been on for like 8 years. Oh my God, where has the time gone? And before that, 20 years multinational here and there. So what is brand strategy? I'm actually going to ask another question, which is brand strategy hard? Actually, it's not. It's really common sense. It's a thinking process. To be honest, what is hard is activating the strategy. So in a lot of cases, we handshake with the client and we say everything is fine, everybody's on board, all the tracks are clear with steps to activate it. But then, oops, in the tactical work, when that strategy translates into a commercial strategy with 2 tracks, marketing and sales, things not normally go well. Then things get screwed up and they come for my help. But regardless of that, there is another controversial side of brand strategy. Is it the business strategy? To me, after so many years, I can tell you, yes, that's my point of view. Yeah, I know there's a lot of terminology. What are happening to me now? There is a lot of terminologies out there on brand strategy. That word strategy gets in a lot of documents. But listen, if you're in business, so let's say this is what do you call it? Just a white paper, yeah? And you're going into business. Why are you going into business? You're going to present something new to the market. And that market is a lot of stakeholders, including competition, market growth, consumers. Are you B2B or B2C? I'm not in any way belittling the other stakeholders in the business, like finance, manufacturing, supply chain, human resources. Of course, they're essential. But you're coming into business because you're offering something. And you need that market understanding. Where are you going to source your business? Is this about depth or width? Are you coming in with innovation or a me too? Is this a service that already exists, but your competitive advantage would be you're going to do it better? Are you stretching into an adjacent category if you're an existing brand or a new market? What about revenues and margins? These come from calculating the potential out there of the segment as well as your pricing strategy. And that is part and parcel of the brand strategy. Yeah. There is also a discussion that is a must-have, which usually get lost in the way, okay, which is about brand architecture. So today, as we speak, in a lot of cases, I get clients who wants to grow, which is fantastic. We all want to grow. But then they would launch something that not necessarily fits that brand. And this is a kind of exercise, I do with clients. Is your brand stretchable to that new vertical of growth or to that new market, blah, blah, blah. All right. Does it make sense? Is it going to be credible? And how much you're going to charge? And most importantly, you have the right to win in that category? I think if you've been following me, I have put in a few posts in the last couple of months with examples that were so odd. And to the consumer, if, Dettol comes in with a shampoo, if somebody is known for spices or pasta and suddenly they have natural ingredients shampoo, for example. So they are known for something and then suddenly, even the big ones have failed on that. I mean, Dove, when they launched in the US a dishwashing liquid, they failed miserably because they positioned themselves on soft on the hands, creamy, all that which is a skincare attribute. So the reason I'm pointing that out is that part of the brand strategy, and hence I'm calling it the business strategy, is to understand CapEx, investment upfront. If you're going to expand in any line in the next 3 to 5 years, which is really, how long a strategy should cover you, then you need a little bit of planning how much money you would invest and in what. Yeah. Is it innovation? Is it an extension? And so forth. And therefore, the question, is it the same brand that you're going to stretch or you're going to create a new one? Yeah. That is solid thinking. That is solid business thinking, which in a lot of cases does not happen. Yeah. If you are under stress, so let's take an example. You are a company that's been working for like 10 years and you're doing great. Fantastic. Lovely. Yeah. And then your competition or your category or whatever, something happens in the market and you're like keen to catch that, a bit of the pie. Yeah. So you're like, 15% market share. And then there is a subsegment that came up that is now eating share or creating an extension and the category is growing. Fantastic. And then you say like, oh, okay, let's do that. But it could be the case that you need to invest in manufacturing facilities, no line, or maybe discuss the opportunity of co-partnering, co-manufacturing with a third party and so forth, or do your own stuff. So you need financing, yeah? And then you need the caliber to go through that. Ideal situation, yes, that is a discussion you need to do upfront when you're putting the strategy. I think one of the problems that are happening now is there are too many people claiming strategy. And that's absolutely fine. But, I pity some of the clients I speak to, and there are some clients that I upfront know that we're not a good fit. And that's absolutely fine because, at the end of the day, I'm sort of selling them ideas, ways of working, and unless I have solid tracks in my document and my proposal, then they can't really activate it. Unless I hold hands with the team, get them their buy-in down to the marketing people and the sales people, how you're going to activate it, it's not going to work. And sometimes when I feel this at the head start, when I'm speaking to the CEO and the investors, I say, this is not really working out. So basically, it's that application of the strategy that is a tough one. Even at the level of route to market, which I always include in my strategy document, and it's often missed by a lot of other consultants, maybe because I do a lot of retail work over the years and, customer journeys and stuff. But I think it's an integral part of the strategy. It's like pricing, because brand strategy should not only about be positioning and the tone of the brand and so forth, which helps in communication. But at the end of the day, this is a business you're running. So you need to look at the portfolio. You need to look at the route to market. So route to market, are you going to partner with a distributor, a wholesaler? Are you going to do e-commerce, or are you going to have your own D2C? So your direct sales people. This is all an investment, yeah? Whether from a structure point of view or from a talent hiring point of view. Yeah, you need to have that infrastructure to do that. So again, this is a key component. If you're ever in that situation and you're hiring a consultant agency for strategy, or you have your own team, definitely pricing, go to market, and all of that needs to be part of it. Now, I would like to go through the elements of a brand strategy. It's going to take a bit of time. So what I'm going to do maybe today, just, heads up, what are the bigger picture? And then I want to hear from you. And then maybe we do a part 2 of this, more of the details, the big headlines, whereby a brand strategy should include. One of the big terms that we always hear is around brand vision, brand purpose, and all of that, which is great. I don't want to stop at terminologies, but I want to give you an example. I came across this example last week on LinkedIn, just, by chance, and I thought it was very interesting, so I want to plug it in. It's a company called Emma, the sleep company. Yeah, and the way they've written their vision, and this is on LinkedIn, so you can go into their profile and read it. It's really very cute. So it says, our aim is to awaken people's best by enhancing their sleep. It's one statement, but says a lot. If you think about it, it's the vision, it's the purpose, whatever you want to call it, but it's spot on the weakness, the gap. Any business that kicks off without being clear about the issue they're going to solve for their target segment will fail. Or there will always be a me too, or they'll always be competing on price and distribution. And this has zero longevity in the market. I can tell you this for a fact. I put my money on it. I mean, experience of more than 20 years, I can tell you the future is not for a company as such. Is it competitive? Of course. Are they the only people who are selling mattresses? No. Are they the only people who spotted on that, yes, you need quality sleep to get the best out of you? No. But not a lot of people are actually conscious of that as businesses, nor customers. So yes, they are very much into being consumer-centric, and it's not just a word you put in a strategy document. And that's why I loved it. They have put a lot of stuff under their vision and the culture of work, which could be part and parcel of that strategy document for you. I mean, if the company looks into a brand as a total brand experience, so you're taking all the key stakeholders. So this is not only about, a B2C, a B2B kind of business, but you're also looking at yourself as a corporate company or an employer, partners with your suppliers or, whatever, so forth. So it really depends how big is your vision and how far you're going to activate it. So yes, again, they included in that document work culture, diversity, that they would look into growth and excellence. So these are the key words that, needs to be plugged in. But then be careful, I'm saying words, but these words need to translate into active action. This is not about claims. And I think over the last 3 to 4 years, and I'm not talking about a country-specific, practice, but I've seen it a lot, that we as practitioners in marketing and brand owners, we become very light about claims. We either don't think of it thoroughly, or we don't deliver. So there's a lot of ethical part of it, particularly because there's a lot of learning that is coming out there, particularly maybe around health, especially after COVID, and people read. So if you're conflicting what is out there in the market, and therefore you're claiming something that is not true, or the customers have a perception that you are untrue to that claim and you have not delivered, this is not good. Just, it's as simple as that. It is not good. You will shoot yourself in the foot, and you will find another competitor coming up and delivering on that claim. For big companies, it's a huge issue because that really come upon you. If it's startup, it's two-way thing. You can either close down because you're tiny, or you could be a fantastic, very smart, small company that have diagnosed what is wrong with these big companies that have been a market leader for so long, and you take that to your advantage and activate it. And when you say activate it, it's about communication. I mean, yesterday I had put in a video on Nike versus Adidas, and what had hit me is, when did brands stop to be inspiring? The statement of there is no finish line. It just hits you. This is all about what Nike is. It's empowering the everyday man and woman about themselves. This is not about the brand. This is about you, and that nobody really matters except taking care of your health. And yes, you can do it. So just do it. It's just amazing. And I every time I walk by that store, I think of that statement. And, it's a pity that a lot of brands had lost this glamour of inspiring people. And a big bulk of it is in the way we communicate. And if you go down to the nitty gritty, I mean, I don't know if any of you had attended my workshop on winning communication, because we go down to every word and every visual and how that links to the brain, and what neuromarketing learnings we have that tells us how the brain reacts to the stimulus. And tons of money is just down the drain because either people are lazy, or they don't think, or they are ignorant. But the learning is out there. We just don't do the effort. And as I told you, I'm seeing a lot of mediocre stuff out there at every level of communication. I think digital marketing made it worse, because at a press of a button on your computer, you're live to everybody. Yeah. The other one I want to talk to you, so we talked a little bit about the vision. The other one is branding. Yeah. So again, I don't want to go into terminologies because it sucks. I mean, you see all of these posts on LinkedIn and they say like, what is the difference between branding and marketing? And what is the difference between brand and branding? And it's like, oh, give me a break. So I would just put it as simple as there is an identity, for that brand. That brand has a color, has a shape, and has a tone. And the steps are actually swapped. In 90% of the businesses across the world, they've actually got it wrong. So the name and the visual and the design comes after the strategy. Now, the reason I'm saying that is that you might have, get the impression that the name has to reflect the business. Actually, no. I mean, if you can have a name that reflects what you do, fantastic, but most probably not. It's very hard at this time and age. You need also to reflect before you choose the name around the language. Also around, is your business strategy about one local market or you're going to expand? I always say this, I like to relate this fun story about one of the brands I used to work in South Africa. It's coated wafers called PS. And the idea was about messaging. It's for teenagers. So PS, I love you. PS, I'm sorry, blah, blah, blah. And then because I was handling a whole region, when somebody suggested getting it into Egypt, and I said like, well, excuse me, we do have a problem with the P and the B. So it is going to be BS, which is something else, or the wholesalers are going to say bis. So it was just a laughing stock if we had done that at the time. But anyway, it's a longer story, and it's one of the funniest case studies. Again, it's probably documented somewhere in my talks or on my YouTube channel. But again, the choice of a name. So up front, if I was doing the strategy for PS, and I'm thinking that I'm going to export into markets, I'm definitely not going to choose that name. It was actually launched in Egypt as SMS and the Middle East because it made a lot of sense at that time. This was like, I don't know, 12, 13 years ago. So yes, logo, think about colors, and you can just Google color psychology. This is science. It's not Dalia saying, it's science, yeah? So if you think of my logo for the company, I have orange and green. And what do? I help companies grow. And growth needs dynamic, actions. And orange does that. It has a lot of energy. It projects energy and activity. And then the green is about prosperity. Yes, we get things done and the company is back on track. So that's why I chose those two colors. It's not a passive consultant kind of, if you think most businesses in consulting world, they would have the blue and the silver, which is really more around subtle, maybe tech consultancy kind of, reflections, associations. And that's why it's very important you do that after you have your strategy intact. Within the strategy, also you have the tonality of the voice. So if you're embarking into a communication campaign, you need to brief the agency what kind of person that brand is and link it to the kind of customer. Yeah. And let me give you a tip on this one because I get this a lot. People get confused about the brand persona and the customer profile. Now, these are two different things, and sometimes they are the same, and sometimes they merge into the same, and sometimes the brand evolves into the customer persona, and sometimes the customer persona changes because you're changing the target. And speaking of which, last week I had a session on changing the consumer target. I mean, if you missed it, it's on my YouTube channel. The difference is the brand does evolve sometimes and not. So let me give you an example. So here I am, I'm a consultant. I'm speaking with a client, let's say from India versus Germany versus South Africa versus Egypt. Now what I do and the values I stand for as a consultant are the same. I mean, I may change the tone of voice or language slightly just for the customer to understand me. And if you've done a lot of B2B work and trying to sell yourself or your services, you would know you need to accommodate, because that's the sales face-to-face pitch. You understand the person, but I'm not changing my values or what I'm offering. It's the same. But I understand the person in front of me and their level. So at a CEO with certain kind of background versus a marketing director versus a more junior person. I'm speaking to the agency and briefing them versus I'm speaking to a client. A media agency is not a creative agency, is not a research agency. So yes, I'm still the same person, but I'm moderating the way I'm communicating because I want to get things done to the end and the objective I want. So it's a little bit tricky, but yeah, as long as you know what you stand for and as long as you understand the target audience and the way to communicate with them and sort of, the hook to engage them in that conversation, you're in good shape. But going back again to these visual thing, because people run and, pick a name, ask for a website developer and, everything is fantastic, looking great. And maybe or maybe not, people would come and visit you on that website. It's looking great. But what is the message there? I mean, this one really, confuses me. Really, what are you writing there? Because whatever you're writing is really coming out from the brand strategy. Okay, your positioning, your strap line, the words you want to own, all of that stuff. And you cannot go on and do the visuals and the communication without having those. This is ridiculous. This is money in the bin, in the trash. What are guys doing? And it's so common across. It's unbelievable. Yeah, it's very product driven. It is what you do, not why you do it. And again, if you've been listening to me, I've always done this. The one thing that people are interested to listen to you, that grab their attention, that cuts the clutter. Why are you doing it and what's in it for me? It's not about product specs. Product specs, great, of course. I mean, you must know what product or service are you selling and at which price. But that does not come first. You need to engage the brain first. Yeah? What makes them tick? Who are these people? What motivates them? What will make me again go to your website and actually go into more conversations with that brand because I'm interested? Other than this, how many posts or groups you're in, or maybe the current business that you're in, and you say like, we've been doing great and suddenly everything plateaued. We're not selling anymore. By the way, this is B2C and B2B in every country I've worked on in every sector. And that's why it is strategic thinking. This is not tactical. Yeah, you cannot activate without that strategic thinking in place. Now, I can definitely go on and on this. There's so many parts of the brand strategy that needs to be covered. I probably will put in part 2 for this one, because you need to understand the total picture, how comprehensive a brand strategy is. And it's something that you put there fixed to a great extent. You will need to revisit every couple of years or how dynamic your market is. There is stuff that you will change tactically on the ground: pricing, packaging, maybe what can I say? The portfolio in terms of pack and price and the relationship between them, or it's same thing, by the way, for services. So you can cut that big bulk of service into mini services and, bundle them with something else because you want to do a promotion, or you think that this track, for example, maybe in insurance, let's say education has now become very big and, people are sending their kids out or not. I'm just giving an example. And you think, no, I want to go and focus on giving loans on education, or maybe insurance for the kids when they are traveling, health insurance, blah, 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 because there's a hype on it. But originally on your strategy, you had the offering of insurance under education. But now you know more about the market and it's evolving, and maybe you have competition, blah, blah, blah. So yes, there will be changes in that strategy, but at a tactical level. Maybe you need to decide, like, let's do e-commerce. I'm going to book, create, whatever it is, partnership with a marketplace that is really happening these days, and it's going to help me expand in African markets because I do not have a foot on the ground. But guess what? E-commerce is huge in that country, for example, Kenya or whatever have you, in South Africa. So yes, changes will happen. That's absolutely fine, but not the bigger thinking. You don't come in as a new marketing director and say, your brand is purple. But you know what? The new line extension, I think we need to have some touches of orange and maybe a bit of red, just to get things, buzzed, exciting. And literally, I'm not joking. I heard this from very intelligent, well-educated people in big companies across the world. And I would like not to see those again. So I'm going to shut up now, and I want to hear from you. So builds, comments, questions, happy, not happy, challenges. What's on your mind for this beautiful Saturday morning? Tell me, just raise